Hello, my darlings. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Maria. Welcome. Please subscribe below for more videos like this one. Today, we're talking about claircognizance, one of the main clairs. This one is a masculine clair. Doesn't mean that it belongs to men only, but usually when I look at the clairs, I divide them into the more masculine ones and the more feminine ones. Granted, we are all perfect snowflakes that have both of these energies in our body so we can master anything. Now, clairaudience and claircognizance are the two masculine clairs that, I talk about, and then there are the two feminine of the main ones, which is the clairsentience and the clairvoyance, right? So just so we're clear. All right, so claircognizance is clear knowing. It's just when you know, that feeling. And it can be from things that are small to things that are humongous, huge. Small, like knowing something about how tomorrow is going to go, knowing that a particular outcome is going to happen before it happens, knowing things about a person, knowing things about a situation, to knowing how the universe works, to knowing how source consciousness thinks, etc., etc. So there are many facets of knowing. Now, there are obviously predispositions, precursors to developing claircognizance. Usually, I find that souls that develop this, souls that are very inquisitive, souls that are very curious, that always ask the question why, even when they're little, or souls that never really stop asking why. Souls that really want to know more, that have this hunger for knowledge, are much more prone to developing claircognizance. People who are willing actually to make sacrifices for knowledge, whether that is through getting multiple degrees, whether that is just literally, by being a nerd. Not that nerds make a sacrifice for knowledge, but that nerdy archetype, has a propensity for developing claircognizance. People who go deep into academia and science, actually. Although we don't necessarily think of these people as psychics, I will tell you this. A lot of the aha and eureka moments in science happened because of claircognizance and not anything else. With Nikola Tesla or with even Albert Einstein, a lot of the downloads that they got, Isaac Newton, wanted to call him Albert, he's Isaac. All of those are examples of claircognizance. Now, these people, outside of Nikola Tesla, he was extremely spiritual. But let's say Isaac Newton didn't know what it feels like. They're just an apple hit him on his head. He came up with a theory. But that is actually an example of claircognizance in the making. So a lot of people who are into sciences, a lot of people with a very developed left brain are prone to becoming claircognizant. Especially if you study in a particular field. And then, you study for 20 years and then you go to bed and then you wake up and you're like, I see the light. This is my theory. I know what it is. And so claircognizance is clear knowing. And again, it could be little things, big things, everything in between things. Very often it is described as a gut feeling. I just know this in my gut. I have a strong gut feeling. That is claircognizance, not intuition. Intuition is a very feminine thing. Intuition doesn't live in your belly. Intuition actually lives in your heart more so than anywhere else. Claircognizance lives in your belly, in your yellow chakra. That's not where it comes from, but it is where it ends up. Other signs that you may be prone to claircognizance are if you like puzzles. Like as a kid, if you like Legos or solving puzzles or like little riddles or like books with riddles, like The Hobbit. When we're playing riddles in the dark with a Hobbit, with a golem, things like that. When you like complex things, like when you want to understand bigger picture things, like how do societies function, how do countries function, how do economies function, how do political agendas function, like all of these, it's almost like this propensity for wanting to understand both the macro and the micro and how everything interacts together. If you have that inherent curiosity, very often you have a predisposition for claircognizance. Where does this clear knowing come from? It comes from the realm of Akasha. It comes from the larger informational field, and it comes from potentially source consciousness. So before we develop claircognizance, we actually have to open up our crown center. That is where that knowing begins. So the flow of claircognizance in your body is from the wide spectrum of energy, so going through the crown center of your head, and then dropping into your stomach, into your belly area, into your solar plexus chakra. That is the pathway of claircognizance, energetic pathway of claircognizance in your body. And again, how does it feel when you have it? When you have it, usually it's very easy for you to get answers when you have claircognizance. Like somebody asks you a question or you ask a question from the universe, and then it's a download. And that download feels like a package just dropped and you are unwrapping it. And it's not like you got 1% of something or 2% of something. All of a sudden you have this knowing, which is 100% of something. And, like, for instance, like how dimensions work. And all of a sudden you just have this download and you know how all of the dimensions work, not just 3D. That is how claircognizant feels. And it is like a deep knowing. It's almost like you don't need any evidence. You don't need to double check anything. It's like a knowing. It's like, that there is like hope, there is belief, there is faith, and then there's knowing. And they're like very different facets of like interacting with the truth. Like when you got to the cognizance state, it lands in your body as the ultimate truth. And so it almost like it's an axiom. It requires no proof, if that makes sense. And like you just have such conviction. It's like really hard to explain, but you have conviction that is blind, but it's not because it's faith or hope, but because it's just a knowing. Again, a very masculine clair, if that makes sense, because it feels like it's very, very much connected to the intellect and the informational field. Hence, the more masculine side of source consciousness is where we get this claircognizance. Claircognizance is also, and I don't want to confuse you, it feels like the all-seeing eye. Are you guys familiar with the concept of an all-seeing eye? They have it on a dollar bill. It is a very ancient symbol. And yes, it feels like it maybe speaks more to clairvoyance, like the all-seeing and seeing, but actually talks more about claircognizance, so the more the knowing. It's a property of source consciousness to know everything about everything. That's claircognizance. Now, of course, in our limited perspective, we're not source consciousness. And so we don't know everything about everything. We just get to know some things about some things. And still, when it drops, it's like something else entirely. Like you feel like you've just been given a gift. So how can you develop something like this? Again, not to be repetitive, if you watch my other videos on clairs, some of it may seem repetitive, but the more you work on yourself, the more your vibrations rise. The clairs are going to start opening up. Now, what order they open up in depends on your natural propensity and your natural talents. Meaning, you've already gone through many past lives and you have developed patterns. And usually, if you have developed a pattern or a particular skill set, it's going to open up in the order that you have it. Like your biggest skill set, like your biggest talent is going to show itself first. And then your second biggest talent is going to show itself. And so when clairs open up, they usually open up for people in a particular order. They don't always open up with clairvoyance, no matter how much you wish that was the case. Also, clairvoyance sometimes can be quite confusing, whereas claircognizance is never confusing. And what I mean by that is when you get shown a picture, it could just be like, I don't know, somebody doing something in the fields, like they're maybe working in the fields, but they're like, are they tired in the fields? Are they happy in the fields? I can't quite tell. What does it mean? Is it a past life? Like clairvoyance could be confusing, whereas claircognizance is a lot more precise. In terms of developing it, energetically, one thing you need to imagine is, and by the way, claircognizance always starts with the brain. Like that is the first part of your body that it's going to hit, right? So first things first, you need to have your white center, your crown chakra really, really open. But then it is like a network of pathways in your brain. And when you're receiving information with this clair, you're not actually receiving with a particular part of your brain. You're receiving with the entirety of your brain, if that makes sense, energetically. I'm not talking the physical level, but the entire organ of your brain receives the information from every which facet. And so that's why as a claircognizant, you can receive massive amounts of information is because there are no barriers for your reception or receiving because your entire brain is participating, if that makes sense. And so on an energetic level, in a meditative state, if you would like to grow this clair, you would want to imagine your brain as a network of golden light. It's almost like a network of pathways, like as if every neuron was connected to every neuron. And what if you could see all of that? And then essentially, what you first want to get present to is just how much activity happens in your brain. And again, it all looks like you're looking down looking down upon it. And it's made of golden light. And then what you would imagine is that there is a white cloud above your brain. And the white cloud symbolizes, in this particular case, your crown center that is located above your brain. And that cloud just contains all of the information from the universe. And then what you want to do is you want to imagine that cloud starts to water starts to sip through that cloud. It's almost like it's starting to rain upon your brain. And these golden pathways that you see are starting to absorb that liquid. And that liquid is actually information. That liquid is the knowing. And then your brain needs to get really comfortable at absorbing information at massive speeds from all these angles. This is the energy practice that would enable you to become claircognizant. Because again, it's all about the throughput of information. People who are claircognizant think faster than others. They usually talk faster than others. Sometimes sometimes when I talk to people like, Maria, you talk so fast. It depends. But it's because sometimes I absorb information very quickly. And so I have to give it away very, very quickly. Otherwise, I feel like I'm not, working to the best of my ability. But imagine like you need to increase the throughput essentially when you're trying to build claircognizance. You need to increase throughput and you need to increase the receptivity of your brain to the information. And that is why it may also be helpful for you to imagine that your brain is a sponge in a meditative state. And that brain it needs to be able to absorb two kinds of frequencies, the white frequencies, the white codes, and the golden codes from source consciousness, right? So you may imagine in the meditative state that, again, your brain is a sponge, and then it gets bombarded with these golden and white codes, and it keeps absorbing. And it gets up to the saturation point, but just keeps absorbing. And then when it absorbed enough, almost like it forms a parcel, and that parcel drops into your belly area, into your solar plexus. And that is the pathway. That is how you build that skill set. Yeah. And again, claircognizance is really beautiful because it can help you get to know things on such a deep level. Any mystery within the universe. That's how tarot dropped on me, actually, through claircognizance. I was like, okay, well, I would like to learn tarot cards. And, I kind of struggled for like a couple of months. And then I'm like, none of this makes sense. Like how people teach it doesn't make sense. I don't know if you guys felt that way, if any of you tried studying tarot. And then I woke up one day and I'm like, oh, I know tarot. and I did. Like I could do readings. Ultimately not having studied anything. I just could read the cards. But it happens when like a large download like that just happens and you just absorb it through your crown and then tarot. Or anything else, like depending on how practiced you are, it could get even crazier than that. So yeah, please let me know in the comments if you're claircognizant. I would love to hear your stories and the downloads perhaps that you've had, or if you've noticed any other precursors to becoming claircognizant. I would love to also learn in the comments. Thank you. Sending you a big virtual hug. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.